Good morning, Young Kings. Time for your morning motivation. Just finished morning workout. Actually invested 10 miles in my body this morning, so just ran 10 miles. Had to come home. I had too much salt and stuff on my face to do the video out where I ran at. So I came home and at least washed my face to be somewhat presentable. But the first time double digits for the season since running back outside. And I can tell you, my body was in rebellion mode for most of the run. I wasn't planning on running 10. The way I went, I was thinking I was going to get 5 or 6, and then it just kept going. Before I got back to the car, it ended up being just about nine miles. So I figured might as well do a few laps around the track to make it an even 10. And it felt pretty good. Now that it's over, I'm sore though. My body's going to be aching today. But I realized during the run, it's an investment into my physical health, into my mental health, and just everything that I could have been doing. I could have today had a day off work. Could have been sleeping in, taking it easy. Could have just got up and fixed a big breakfast or something of that nature. But I decided to go on a run this morning, and I'm kind of glad I did. Um, it shows it takes a lot of discipline in order to get progress. So I'm 45 years old and still grinding. I started this journey a long time ago, and it still continues to this day. So won't labor the point, but don't know how long this video will be. Probably pretty short because I'm sore, and I got a lot of activities that I need to do today. Today's going to be kind of an investment day. So as I mentioned, I invested 10 miles running this morning, and then I'm going to go be a good steward, mow my grass, wash my Jeep, and, kind of clean the inside of the house. So just kind of taking care of the things that I've been blessed with and just showing proper stewardship. So I'll have an investment day on just resetting and having an attitude of gratitude. And I know sometimes you can go through a lot in life and it's hard to get to a point of really appreciating how far you have come. But sometimes you just got to take a step back and be able to reflect on the things that you've been through and the things that you overcame. I am a sum total of everything I experienced, both failures, successes, mistakes, mishaps, misunderstanding. I am the sum total of all those. And I wouldn't take any of them away. Because all those things have made me who I am today. So don't let anybody judge a portion of your life. And I keep saying that over a few videos because your best is yet to come. It may be raining now, and it may be hard now. And the old scripture says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Just hold out until your morning. And the morning is not just necessarily in reference to time. It may be in reference to your season. It may be in reference to, the storm that you're going to is starting to subside, or it may be intensifying. Whatever it is, you just got to hold on and continue to press. And that's the lesson that I had to teach myself as well, because where I'm at in life, very few times do people encourage you. More than likely, they're going to try to make withdrawals, take from you, or make indictments about you, and stuff of that nature. So very rarely do you get in a position where people actually give you compliments. People start hating, and it may be elements of jealousy, maybe whatever it may be. They're not really on your team. So it comes a point in time where you're going to have to start encouraging yourself and being able to endure being alone and being okay with other people not being okay with you. Like I said in a few videos, it's better to be at peace within and have war without than to be peace without and have war within. So finding that internal peace is essential to your authentic version of yourself. So while I was running, and the message today was love yourself. And it sounds simple, and it sounds easy, and it sounds elementary, but it's hard to do. It's hard in execution to actually love yourself, because you've been told everything that you're not. You've been told what you need to be, what you should be, or what you could be. But who are you? Like, love who you are right now. The process of loving yourself is difficult. And just being your authentic self is falling back in love with who you are. And I said back in love because sometimes our identity is associated as being, it's been loaned out to other people. It's been loaned out to jobs. It's been loaned out to material possessions. It's been loaned out to girlfriends or spouses. It's been loaned out to kids. It's been loaned out to just about everybody. Your identity, bits and pieces, people have taken, and they haven't returned. It's like a library book, that's overdue. You know, they withdrew the library book and they're not even reading the chapters, but they're stealing from people that want to be able to read the chapters because they're just lazy and haven't returned it. So instead of you going into trying to find them or get that library book back, let's just take it back. Like, don't issue out, close this library down and start reading about yourself, about who you are, and trying to decide. And what I'm learning through this process about being authentic is that everybody gets an input on what you should do. And I was reading in Proverbs today, Proverbs 8, and it talked about wisdom, and wisdom was making its case to be sought. In Proverbs 8, it was saying, like, wisdom is speaking, and it says that it was with God before the foundation of the earth. It was communing with God. Like, before God created everything, God and wisdom was, just chilling. And so he observed the works of God's hands, and he was the master craftsman, as it says. So God was in charge, and he instructed wisdom. He spoke wisdom through his words, and wisdom came back and was the master craftsman to execute a lot or all the things that God has spoke. And that's essential that we have wisdom, and because you got to have wisdom to be able to discern. And I got to that point because it's like when you go through this process of becoming your authentic version of yourself, the rebirth of you, there's a lot of opportunities for you to surrender control of your life. So when I was running today, God spoke to me. It's like, run your life and don't let life run you. And that encouraged me to keep going. And that's what I said at 5 miles, at 7 miles, and then eventually on to the 10. And my body is aching. Running on cement and pavement is rough on my body because I had hip surgery and I had knee surgery. So that pounding on that cement doesn't give. And so my body will probably be sore for a few days. But the message was, run your life. Don't let other people run your life. And when it spoke it to me, and I realized I was the only one out there running. I mean, there may be people across the world and they're enjoying. I've seen a few people running or walking and riding bikes and doing different things. Several people drove by in cars, moving at different paces and spaces in their life. But that's their life. It's your job to run yours, and don't surrender it. And it's a delicate balance because you want to be able to seek wise counsel. You want to be able to have a council of peers or mentors and elders that you can go to and that you can bounce ideas off of. This is not anti getting advice from wise people, but it is taking that advice and then analyzing it and reflecting, is this the best thing for me to do? So although the advice from a loved one or a friend may seem like wisdom, it is incumbent upon you to really analyze, is that the right decision for you? And sometimes you got to go against what other people say you should do and do what you want to do and do what you need to do to get ahead. So run your life and don't let your life run you. Get to a point in life where you can collect the data and you can, analyze it, and you can just start thinking for yourself. Um, and it's important to do that because a lot of people don't want you to think for yourself. We just had a class come in to do the professional military education, PME, and I was telling this class that says, um, to be the authentic version of yourself, you got to depart from everything that you have been taught up until this point. Because as an infant, you're completely dependent on parents you didn't choose and had no vote in. I mean, you can choose the country you were born in. You can choose the sex you became. You can choose the color of your skin. All these choices were made in a split of a second. You know, God made all those decisions prior to you even arriving. So as an infant child, you're completely dependent on parents um, to raise you and to nurture you and to grow you. But the reality is, like, those parents are imperfect in themselves. So you expecting them to give you more than what they had, but they can only give you what they've been given themselves. And some of them haven't been given much. So they're teaching you at a deficit already, but they're teaching you as though they have the whole value of life, and they're telling you what you should be doing, what you should not be doing, what you're good at, what you're not good at, how to regulate your emotions, what's good, what's bad, and you go through life through that. So they do that for the primary and essential developmental years of your life. And then you get to a stage where the parents transition, they pass you off to the educational system. And as little kids going to kindergarten, like 5 or 6 years old, now they passed you off to next indoctrinators, and they're going to indoctrinate you for the next decade plus of your life on how to measure intelligence, what they deem is intelligence, what they deem is right, how they're going to try to measure your IQ and your worth by outdated tests and stuff of that nature. So you get born into parents, they try to indoctrinate you from an imperfect perspective. Then they hand you over to teachers, and they don't have it all, the knowledge, but they want to indoctrinate you to learn this in a particular way. And then if you want to go advance, they're going to send you to professors in college, and they're going to indoctrinate you on what they think you should learn and what you should be doing in order to be profitable in the marketplace. And then after you graduate college, they're going to hand you off to employers so they can indoctrinate you on what's acceptable in the workplace and what you should do to advance and stuff of that nature. So during this whole transition process, when do you get a vote? You may say you get somewhat of a vote when you choose your degree in college, and you can choose what field of study you go in. And I would submit that's not even a vote. You just choosing a different indoctrinator, a different colonizer, one who's going to teach you in immense if you want to operate in that field. Very rarely do you get into the independent thought, the abstract thinking, and to be able to think for yourself. A lot of times you're regurgitating things that you have heard, things that you have learned from other people, but really, when do you get time to really reflect and be who you are? So this part of identifying your authentic version of yourself is loving yourself. And it's like finding out who you are and falling in love with you. And even in your imperfections, still understand that you were made by the master craftsman. God commissioned wisdom to come down and to build us and to appreciate that. And it's hard to do. And I challenge each of you to do that. I know in me, I have a lot of insecurities, and I'm extremely successful, and I'm strong enough to show that I'm vulnerable and have insecurities. Like, I just ran 10 miles, but I know that I still could probably lose about 15, 20 pounds in order to be more healthier. There's some things I could do. So even in your striving, you will find yourself gravitating to the things you do wrong. And you've been taught that because all through life, people have been pointing at things that you do wrong. And unless you're an athlete or something that's moving above and beyond, and they'll point out and they think they can benefit from your gift, then they can point at your gifts. But once people don't think they can benefit from you, very rarely will they point out your talents and your strengths and your gifts. They'll be more apt to point out things you don't do right. So you have to be so secure in yourself that you can endure the criticisms of others, because it's a careful thing. Because I was telling a group of individuals, like, in every compliment, there's an element of ignorance. In every criticism, there's an element of truth. So when people give you a compliment, in the back of your mind that you could have done some things better. And somebody say, hey, you did a great job. That was awesome. I've never seen anything like that before. The first thought that comes to in your mind is like, oh man, I messed up on this. I could have done this better, or I wish I would have done this. And your mind starts gravitating to the things you did wrong rather than to accept their appreciation. And the same with criticism. Same when someone comes and criticize you and said you did this wrong, the first thing you want to do is talk about all the things you did right and try to say, well, you forgot about all these things. But the element of truth is, like, there's some things that you knew that you made a mistake. It's just offensive that other people pointed out. And one thing I know in life is, like, as a man, we are intimately familiar with our mistakes. We know when we mess something up, and we just don't want other people to point it out. So the point of all this is build a force field around yourself, so that you can be balanced and you don't need the validation. And in the earlier videos, I told you that was one of the things that I struggle with, is validation, and really trying to wean yourself off that drug of a validation is hard. It's extremely difficult, and it's going to take a lot of work and effort to do that. So today, it's my intention to invest. And a lot of people say you want to spend time doing this, and when you spend things, it leaves you depleted. But when you invest, it leaves you empowered. Like that 10 miles I ran, that invested into my mental health, my physical health, my spiritual health. It is an investment into me. I could have spent that time, doing something non-productive, and it would have just been wasted, because time is unforgiving. So a lot of people in this day and time, they're looking for get rich quick schemes and a way to have overnight success. And right now it's cryptocurrency and getting in the stock market and getting into paying for this stock and this and that. And you got people that's willing to, go out and invest money in other people's business and other people's ventures, and just try to gamble on if they're going to be doing it's equally as what they're doing now, or if they're going to be doing better in the future. So in the stock game is just gambling. But what you need to do is invest in yourself. Because when you invest in those stocks and in those companies and those cryptocurrencies, you're guessing and hoping that they're going to be the people who's running these things behind the scenes, that they're going to be up grinding, that they're going to be up trying to make their company better, that they're dedicated, that they're motivated, and they're doing all these things essential to make your money grow. And some of those companies will do that. And you got to, get in where you fit in on there. But you're not in control of that. You're not in control of a company that decides, you know what, I don't want to work hard today. The market was up, our stock was up, so I think I can take a day off. And, that's why you have these ups and downs. You never can really go for the trends. And I know if you're in it for the long haul, you don't mind the ups and downs because you're playing a long game and stuff of that nature. But that's all outside of your control. What if you were to take that energy and that money to invest in the stocks and in yourself? Because then you can control your output by managing your inputs. If you are working hard enough to be in a better state. If you're getting up and you're grinding, or if you're being lazy. If your breaks are longer than your work session. You can control that. So the best thing for you to do is to invest in yourself and find out what your passions are and what your motivations behind doing these things, because you know God has given us each talent, and your gifts and talent will make rooms for you. There's a millionaire in each one of us. There's enough talent in us to provide for us and have abundance above and beyond our basic needs if we tap into our authentic version of ourselves. Now, we can't go and emulate everybody else and then be the same and then expect to profit from that. It's only in being different. It's only in being unique. It's only in being rare that the value comes in. Because when there's more supply and everybody's doing the same thing, the demand is low. But when there's a limited supply, and when I'm telling you, you are a limited supply. God created you specifically. You are one of one. There's no one else like you. So if you can tap into that oneness, then you are a limited supply. The demand for your uniqueness will increase. So, but the world system gets you trying to be like everyone else, dress like everyone else, smell like everyone else, and be a part of the masses and surrender your gift, your uniqueness, you being rare. So tap into that rareness and you'll find that your gift will make room. You will lose some of the people that are in that masses, but you got to realize when the supply is this much, the demand is little. So you're going to get paid little, you're going to advance little, you're going to do just enough to get by. But when those masses start saying you're different and you don't fit in, you change, and you start pulling back from that, and you realize you become your one of one, that demand for you from the right people, and people may not be the people you grew up with. It may not be the family you were born into. There's people out there that is going to value you and treasure you more than the people you have known all your life. There'll be some people you meet in this season of your uniqueness, of your rareness, that will value your gifts and talents more than the people who have known you since you were born, that overlooked you and just thought that you were cast aside, that you were just average, and they didn't see your gifts and talent and ability. You don't stop being blessed. They just stop benefiting from you being blessed. So pull back from the masses, start investing in yourself, start investing in that stock, and you'll realize that that investment will pay off. And then when it pays off, it's not just going to leave you at a minimum state. You'll go above and beyond, and you will make sure that, how should I say that? Make sure that you tap into that and acknowledge the author of that. Because your gift and these talents and stuff are not just for you. No one's the island. So although you're pulling back for the masses to get consecrated and to make sure that you are authentically you, what you have in the authentic version of you is something that's going to bless the masses. And that's the difference between consumers and producers. See, consumers, they get in the game late. They think about stuff. Hey, I wish somebody would create this because I have a need. And, if someone would did this, I could go and buy this. So the producers are the ones that's thinking like, okay, there's a need out there for this. So let me get in my lab and go figure out what I can do. So the producers, they pull away from the masses to create something unique and special. And then they come and introduce it to the masses, and the masses go, wow, like, hey, I'm glad you created this. And then they go and buy those things and make the producers extremely rich. And then the producers does that same thing over and over again. That's how you can give someone $1,000 in a stimulus check, and they'll be broke, real soon, because all they know is how to consume. They're not producing nothing. So take some time to reflect on, are you going to be one of the consumers and be a part of the masses, or do you want to pull back, get into the authentic version of yourself, and then present your rareness to the masses, because then they're going to want it, because there's gifts in each one of us. So be wise, young kings. I'm going to get out and do some investment. I'm going to mow my grass. I'm going to clean my house and just continue to invest and be a good steward, because it's increasing my property value. So be wise, young king.